Hello and welcome back. I'm Carmen and welcome back to my kitchen. Thank you so much for joining for the second episode of Cooking with Carmen. As part of our mission to heal hunger, Operation Food Search teaches families how to cook delicious foods on a budget. So today also happens to be Earth Day, so happy Earth Day, everyone. Today we're going to feature some earth-friendly meatless recipes. We're going to have a sweet potato and black bean taco with a simple blender salsa and a cauliflower fried rice. So I have a guest chef on the show with me today who will be demonstrating these simple recipes. But before we dive into cooking, did you know that eating, going meatless one day a week or even just 3 meals total a week can reduce your risk of preventable chronic diseases such as obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer? So this may be due to reducing your intake of total fat and cholesterol and increasing your intake of different healthy alternatives. So I always like to stress that going meatless, even for a few meals a week, is not about taking something away from your diet, but it's adding in those heart-healthy alternatives. So there's nutrient-rich whole grains, beans, lentils, tons of veggies, and really increasing your intake of those items really increases your overall health. So going meatless for a few meals is also good for the environment, which is why we thought this would be great for Earth Day, because according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, livestock was estimated to contribute to over 14% of greenhouse gas emissions. So going meatless for 3 meals a week and shopping for locally grown foods can really potentially help cut back on your greenhouse gas emissions. An added bonus is cost savings. So like animal proteins like beef, chicken, turkey, pork tend to be some of the more expensive grocery items. Plant-based proteins are less expensive and just as filling, and they have that added bonus of tons of nutrients and tons of fiber. So if you're like my husband, you can't imagine a meal without meat, you can try treating the animal protein as a side dish instead of like the main course. So focus your meals on your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains, and celebrate those nutrient-rich foods in your diet. So try including unique and seasonal produce items that can add variety, color, and texture to your plate. So without further ado, let me introduce Claire Conroy. So Claire is the coordinator of nutrition education programs at Operation Food Search. She's a registered dietitian and has a vast culinary background. So she brings a wealth of knowledge to our team. Welcome, Claire.
Hi, Carmen. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be showcasing 2 vegetarian meals to celebrate Earth Day. It's a beautiful day outside, so I hope you can get out and enjoy nature and Earth. So I'm going to be demonstrating, like you said, a roasted sweet potato and black bean taco with a simple blender salsa, and then also a cauliflower fried rice. Meals are really easy to make with ingredients you probably already have in your pantry. They're full of nutrients, they're delicious, and you won't even miss the meat because they're completely vegetarian.
Awesome. I'm so excited to see these come together. Do you personally eat meatless meals?
I do. I try to eat meatless meals like 2 to 3 times per week, whether it's something just as simple as like a vegetarian omelet or even making a vegetarian chili with butternut squash. I even love just roasting garbanzo beans and having those as a really easy, high-protein vegetarian snack. So let's get started on our first recipe. This is a roasted sweet potato and black bean taco. And for this recipe, you're going to need 2 to 3 large sweet potatoes that are roasted, and I'll show you how to do that. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 small diced onion, a small bell pepper that's been diced, garlic that's been minced, cumin, chili powder, salt, squeeze of lime, and then a can of rinsed black beans. And then, of course, corn tortillas, and then any other taco toppings that you like. So to get started, what I've done is I have roasted 2 to 3 large sweet potatoes. And to do that, you're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. And I cubed these and tossed them with some olive oil and then roasted them for about 20 to 30 minutes. What you're looking for on your sweet potatoes is that they're slightly golden brown, but they're tender. Now, I've also sauteed together our onion and our bell pepper and the garlic. And to this, what we can do is we are going to add in our sweet potatoes and our can of rinsed and drained black beans. We're gonna add that in, and to season it, we're gonna do a little bit of salt. I dropped a bean in my salt. We're gonna season that with some salt, and then I have some cumin and chili powder. And this is really gonna add some nice flavor to that. And we can stir this up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to saute this on the stove for about 5 to 7 minutes, just to try to bring the flavors together. Next up, we're gonna make our simple blender salsa. I love making homemade salsas at home. It's super easy to do, and you can kind of control the ingredients that go into it. What I love about this recipe is that we are using canned diced tomatoes. Now, why are we using these? So canned diced tomatoes are super rich in an antioxidant known as lycopene. And this antioxidant can actually help prevent certain cancers and reduce our risk for some disease. Also with canned diced tomatoes, they're kind of always in season. Whereas some like tomatoes right now, they might be a little watery or even not that rich in color. So using canned tomatoes is a great way to make a homemade salsa. So we're just gonna dump this into our blender. And with that, we're also going to add in a ½ cup of diced red onion and a 1/4 cup of chopped bell pepper, any color that you like. And then I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of minced jalapeno. You could leave this out if you don't like heat, or add more if you do. We're gonna add the squeeze of a ½ lime. And then some salt and cumin as well. And like I said, super easy. We're just gonna blend this up. If you don't have a blender, you can definitely do this by hand. You just wanna make sure that you chop everything really, really well. It's gonna be a little chunkier and less smooth, but if you have a blender, you can kind of control your desired texture of your salsa. So let's blend it up. And that's it. So I like mine a little chunkier, so I'm gonna leave it like this. But if you want it a little smoother, you could definitely puree it for a little bit longer. So we're just gonna pour this out. This would be so good with chips, for chips and salsa. And to finish up our tacos, I have some corn tortillas with me. So I love using corn tortillas for tacos. They're a natural whole grain and they're naturally gluten-free as well. I prefer these over flour tortillas because of that reason. So what we're going to do is to plate, we're just going to take some of our filling that was sauteed together and we're going to load up our tacos. These are a really kid-friendly meal. They come together so fast. You can add any other veggies and other ingredients that you like. Top this with some sour cream or some salsa would be really, really good. Or sorry, we already have salsa. Some cheese would be really delicious. So this is our first recipe. This is the roasted sweet potato and black bean taco with our simple blender salsa.
Those look incredible. So I'm thinking about what I have in my pantry, and I don't have any black beans because we actually ate them a couple days ago. Try this recipe with kidney beans because I love swapping in different ingredients.
Definitely. You could do this with any type of bean. Kidney, navy beans, garbanzo beans, or even add some brown rice to it. It would be really delicious.
Yum. So some people are new to a vegetarian diet and they may be concerned about getting adequate protein. So can you expand a little on how vegetarians can get enough protein in their diet?
That is a really great question and actually a very common concern that a lot of vegetarians and even new vegetarians have to get adequate protein in their diet. Actually, it's relatively easy for a vegetarian to get adequate protein in their diet. So protein, it's a macronutrient just like fat and carbohydrates, and it's essential for a healthy diet. And so protein helps to repair our bones, our muscles, our cells, and even helps maintain our skin, our hair, and our nails. Protein is made up of tiny little building blocks. These are called amino acids. Our bodies can naturally make some of these amino acids, but there's 9 of them. These are called the essential amino acids that we need to get from dietary protein. Animal-based products like meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, they naturally contain all 9 of those essential amino acids. Whereas vegetarian proteins like rice, nuts, seeds, and beans, they lack one or more of those essential amino acids. Therefore, it's super important for vegetarians to make sure they're eating a wide variety of foods, and especially a wide variety of vegetarian protein sources. That's why having a balanced diet of whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, legumes, fruits, and veggies, that's how you can get adequate protein in your diet and eat really, really balanced.
Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. I'm sure that's helpful for a lot of people. I'm excited to see our next recipe for the cauliflower fried rice.
I'm excited too. So cauliflower rice is kind of all the rage right now, but it's super good. It's really fun. And it's actually a great way to get kids and even picky adults to eat their vegetables. So to make your cauliflower fried rice, what you're going to do is you're going to need 1 whole head of cauliflower. And to rice it, you can do this at home. You can just do it with a box grater on the large grater holes. You can also do this in a food processor if you have it, or even a high-powered blender like I had, making sure to scrape down the sides so it doesn't turn into a puree. But I'll just show you how you can grate this here. So I just have my box grater, and I'm literally just going to grate it like you would grating any other vegetable. And there you have it, kind of like a rice-like consistency. So I have my 1 whole head of riced cauliflower here. You can buy this pre-riced at the grocery store, but the thing about that is that you're gonna save way more money if you just rice it yourself at home. And you're also gonna save some plastic with that the packaging that they have in the grocery store. So to get started on our rice, we are going to saute our aromatics. So I'm just gonna preheat my skillet, and I'm going to add in a tablespoon of olive oil or any other vegetable oil that you have. And we're gonna get started on our aromatics. So for that, I have a couple of green onions, which I just sliced up, and we're gonna add those in. We're also gonna add some fresh minced garlic and some ginger. So ginger is gonna add a really, really delicious flavor and a fragrance to our fried rice. And if you've never used ginger before, it looks kind of funny. It's kind of like a brown knobby root. And to peel it, you can actually do a little trick that I have, which is just using the back of a spoon, like a cereal spoon, and you're just gonna kind of work on peeling the skin off. Just like that. And then you can use a box grater like I had before, or you can use a microplane if you have it. And we're gonna add in some minced garlic. So we're gonna stir that up.
I always love the smell of sauteing onions and garlic, so I can only imagine how wonderful your kitchen is smelling.
It smells really good.
So people new to going meatless might have some questions about meat alternatives that they see in the grocery store. What do you think about those?
That's a really great question. So just like any other packaged processed foods, there are meat-free alternative products. These would be like chickenless chicken nuggets, fishless fish sticks, or even something just like a veggie burger. And yes, those products come extremely in handy for like an easy weeknight meal, or even just relieving the stress of planning a bunch of vegetarian meals, especially if you're new to eating meatless. But the thing about those products, and just like any other frozen food that you might get, is that they're going to be higher in sodium and they're going to be a lot higher in additives than if you just cooked your food from scratch at home. So what I recommend is limiting your consumption of those meat-free alternative products and instead cooking your meals from scratch using whole grains, beans, nuts, and legumes instead of a lot of those frozen foods. But once again, there's always a time and a place for those foods in our diet. So I've got this sauteed, and we're going to add in our 2 diced carrots. We want to make sure these are small diced. And we're going to add in 1 bell pepper that's been diced as well. Stir those up. And we're going to add in our cauliflower. So that's a lot. Here we go. So this is so good. So the cauliflower rice, it kind of mimics white rice, but you're getting a lot of good nutrients and vitamins and minerals from that cauliflower. This is all veggies. It's amazing. And this cauliflower, once it cooks, it's going to cook down a little bit. It's going to absorb the flavors of our sauce that we're going to add, and it's going to be really delicious. You won't even miss the rice. So for our sauce, I have 1/4 cup of low sodium soy sauce. I'm using tamari because I'm gluten-free, but if you are not gluten-free, just use a low sodium version of soy sauce. Then to flavor our soy sauce, we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of rice wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar. And then a little bit, 2 teaspoons of honey to add a little sweetness. You can also use brown sugar if you want to for a little bit of sweetness, but I just like a little honey. And we're going to whisk this together. And this we can add to our rice. And we're just going to stir this up.
That sauce almost looks like something you could just throw on some chicken or some veggies. It looks very versatile.
Definitely. So you could like marinate, I mean, we're talking about meatless, but you could even marinate tofu in this sauce. So tofu, a lot of people don't like it, probably because they haven't really had it cooked the right way or in a way that makes it taste good. So tofu is kind of like a blank canvas, just kind of like how a chicken breast is kind of flavorless sometimes. We need to flavor our tofu and cook it properly. And you could really like it if you marinate it and you season it and you cook it the right way.
Tofu is the sponge of the food world in my mind.
Exactly. I love that. I'm stealing that. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to toss in our peas, fresh peas for some beautiful color. You can use frozen peas or fresh if you have it. This has just been frozen that I thawed out. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a well in the center of our rice. And this technique you can do with any fried rice that you make at home. But this is how we're going to scramble our eggs. So I just took 2 eggs and I whisked them together. And we're going to add just a teaspoon of oil to the center of our well. And we're going to add in our eggs. And why are we doing this? We're doing this so we can kind of create a separate scrambled egg and then incorporate it into our rice. Instead of just adding it in, it would coat everything and kind of become almost a little like gluey. So we want to avoid that. So with my spatula, I'm just going to create like a figure 8 technique in the center to help scramble my eggs.
So I know some vegetarians don't eat eggs because it is an animal protein. What else would you recommend to use in this recipe? Like if you either don't eat eggs or you don't actually have eggs at home?
Definitely. So if you're a vegetarian or you just avoid eating eggs, you can substitute like pan-fried tofu like we use, or even adding beans, or you could do this recipe with brown rice. So I've done this before with half brown rice, half cauliflower, or just all brown rice. And the key with making fried rice with rice is to actually make sure you have day-old cooked rice. That's going to make sure that the rice gets really flavorful with all of the sauce ingredients that you added. It's also going to help it get crisp and delicious. So my egg has cooked, and I'm just going to start pulling in the rest of that cauliflower rice and incorporating my egg. So this makes a lot. This could feed a family of 6 to 8, and I even have leftovers if you have a family of 4. And get creative with this. You don't have to use all those veggies that I had. This would be really, really delicious with chopped Brussels sprouts would be really good. Or even like frozen corn if you had it. So that's cooked. And to plate, what I like to do is to garnish my fried rice and my cauliflower rice with some fresh cilantro, which I have here. Little cilantro, and then some chopped peanuts. And that's our cauliflower fried rice.
That looks incredible. Both recipes look super simple to make, using a lot of ingredients I already have and very customizable. I can't wait to incorporate these recipes in my meal planning for next week. So do you have any tips for everyone that's watching?
Thanks. So if you're new to going meatless, it can be a little daunting to avoid meat in your diet throughout the week. So start small, just like any lifestyle change. Maybe just doing it once a week, and then incorporating and try to make it up to that 3 times per week. And I think you can actually start to appreciate that vegetarian meals and meat-free meals can just be just as delicious and even just as filling as a meal with meat in it. So
I fully agree. I know I'm on board. I just have to look at my husband. He's one of those meat and potato.
He can change.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. And before I wrap up the episode, I actually have a fun science activity to engage the whole family. So it's called Germinating Seeds in a Bag. And this is a great way to get the kids to view how seeds transform into plants right before their eyes. So seeds don't need soil to start germinating. So you can place them in a sunny window, right, in a Ziploc bag, and they'll start sprouting. So this little activity allows kids to watch how seeds sprout, which is a process that's normally hidden by dirt. You don't even get to see it. So there's a lot to learn in this experiment, and it's so simple. So as long as you have some dried beans and some plastic bags and a precious piece of paper towel, you can make these seed germinating bags. So to get started, I have gathered my ingredients here. So we need a zip top bag, a piece of a paper towel, and I've folded it so it'll fit inside of the bag. And then we need a stapler and some staples. And then we have some dried beans that are actually soaked overnight, so they'll start to germinate a little quicker. And then tape. So this will help you can tape it up in your window. So the first step is to dampen your folded paper towel. So I have a little bowl here with some water. And I'm going to get my paper towel nice and damp. So this will help give the beans some water so they can help start sprouting and germinating. And then we'll take our bag and we'll slide in our paper towel. There we go. So now we have the breeding ground for our beans, and then we have our bag. And we're actually going to use the stapler to staple in some spots for the beans to stay put. So I'm going to do a couple staples into my bag. So you can see here that I have 3 staples in my bag, and this will actually hold the bean in place. So I'm going to take my black beans, and I'm going to put one on top of each staple. Again, I soaked these beans overnight. You don't have to do that, but it just helps to get the germinating process start quicker. All right, so now I have my 3 beans in my bag. I'm going to zip it closed because this actually creates almost like a greenhouse for the beans because it starts to get a little humid in there with the water. And then all we do is tape this up into a window so it gets some natural light. And you can watch it every day. So you can even keep like a mini science journal to take notes on the changes that the kids notice each day. And after some of the leaves that have appeared, you can either open the bag up and let them grow out the top, or you can transform or transport them and put them into some soil to start growing. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Remember to like our page if you haven't already, and comment below if you have any questions or if you made today's recipes. Visit our website at operationfoodsearch.org to learn more about our work and how we're responding to the COVID-19 crisis. And you can learn everything you need to know about how to get or give help. And happy Earth Day, and I'll see you all next week for next week's episode.